This is part one of my complicity playlist. I'm going to make it clear that everyone else on the planet but my parents is doing the wrong thing because they're complicit in a culture that's allowed or having separated themselves from the divine order, and the Bible makes it clear they're going to hell if you take the time to read it and analyze it and not interpret it like a racist white person or a gay person or a token minority, etc. All right, so in Revelation 1, okay, we see that Jesus is said to have 7 stars in his right hand, right, the hand of God, his warrior hand, okay, and that those 7 stars stand for 7 angels, okay. He's walking among the lampstands. He has a golden sash around his chest. He has a robe to the ground. His eyes are blazing like fire, and his his face is brilliant like the sun, okay. So he, in an intense manner, with a sharp double-edged sword coming out of his mouth, says, this is what's going to happen, right? It makes it clear that it is principle that's striking people down, right? He doesn't literally have a sword and strikes them down. It is principle. Remember, martial arts are lifestyles. Some people are brute cage fighters. Some people are Johnny Cage-like, actors, Van Damme, cocky actors. Some people are traditionalists, like the various Asian martial arts islands, capoeira. They're steeped in tradition and they refuse the universal order of God. Okay, we don't see any of them obeying God through me, if that makes it clear, and countless of them are aware of what's going on. Okay, so it's clear cut that it is about principle. Now I'm going to go through the first 3 messages to the first 3 churches. Okay, so the messages to the first 2 churches, rather, in Revelation 2, in this video. In part 2, we'll get to the next 3, and we'll get to other key scriptures. I'm not going to go through all Revelation. That will make it clear that it is complicity. It is your lack of obeying God through me and moving in the divine order that causes you to go to hell and your offspring, because you're going to be cut down with a sharp double-edged sword that pierces the spiritual realm, that cuts you off from God, right? I am the wall. In Jeremiah, I think 15, it says he's going to make the prophet a wall. I am the sky wall king, okay? Sky law king, okay? And no matter what the rebels do, they'll never be able to pass through me or their offspring to get to heaven. Now listen to why. Revelation 2. Remember, also the Bible is not how I would say it. It makes things complicated. I speak more directly, as you see right now. See how I'm explaining it? This is more my nature, not saying it the way they said in the Bible. So the essence of the word is God, not this roundabout way they said it. It's not a coincidence. They call it playing around, and when people are more fluffy, they have more of a round shape. Okay, so you look at the knights, you look at the military, the craftsmen, Thor, Hercules, right? These are big, round guys, right? Like Humpty Dumpty, except for with muscles, okay? And that's not a coincidence. By Bel is by the sage and mage, Bel, right? Does magic tricks, and his bull, right? A big bully. The bulls are associated with Bel, and his Greek equivalent is Zeus. And Set, his Egyptian equivalent, has a hippo form, okay, and a boar form. But anyway, it's important to know that their white supremacist kind of police officer, military craftsman interpretation, coupled with the kind of shorter Jew and the tall, lanky Jew, they want to cheat me out of my right to lead. It's even called figure it out. Figure, right? Body shape, right? Worship and war shape. We'll get to that, okay? Now, just because someone's shaped a certain way doesn't mean they shouldn't obey God through me. I am the Messiah. They're not supposed to be shaped as well as me. They couldn't be, because I'm the top martial artist ever. They're supposed to obey God through me. And that's part of what God puts out there. The Lord, Exodus 15:3, the Lord is a warrior, the Lord is his name. He put me there to make that clear. Okay, and that's why they edit my voice and my image and mess up my eyes, so it causes me to wear these weird glasses and confuse you about how I look. But you should still know I'm telling the truth by what I say. Even how I'm saying it subtly there, every time I check the videos, I can tell that it's still, at this point, subtly there, that you know that I'm God's son. Revelation 2, to the church in Ephesus, to the angel in the church in Ephesus, write, these are the words of him who holds the 7 stars in his right hand, remember they're angels, and walks among the 7 lampstands. So it reiterates what it said in Revelation 1. 7 stars in his right hand, okay, 7 angels, right? And he says to the angel in the church. So this is angels versus demons, right? These churches were supposed to be doing the right thing. When we listen carefully, they're talking about what's happening then. They're not saying that when all is said and done, the churches will still, someone will be doing the right thing, or more or less. He's saying at that point, right? You'll see what I mean. Okay, And so therefore, that's why no church is doing the right thing, no group of people is doing the right thing. It's just me and my parents. Okay. Okay. I know your deeds, your hard work, and your perseverance. I know that you cannot tolerate wicked people. Are you supposed to yoke yourself to sinners? No. You're supposed to not tolerate them. You're supposed to obey God through me. Okay? That you have tested those who claim to be apostles but are not, and have found them false. That is what they're supposed to do. And no church is doing it. Instead, they're preaching the Luciferian doctrine. 3, you have preserved and have endured hardships for my name, and have not grown weary. Yet I hold this against you. You have forsaken the love you had at first, okay? Which goes back to Babylon the Great has fallen. Who was Babylon's love at first? It was Nimrod, who was a mighty warrior before the Lord. And then these people fell out of grace, right? Instead of being the Nimrodian people of Babylon, so to speak, and their followers, they became some kind of beta. Betas is beast scrambled, and brute beast, going back to the little sage and mage and the big brute kind of angle, and the tall skinny guy, and so on and so forth, in the LGBT community, and the various forms of traitors to God, right? Betas is beast scrambled and brute beast, okay? And beast mode and working out, and their flesh-based angle. They're relying on flesh and not the true spirit of God, and psychology and not the true spirit of God. Okay, so it says, yet I hold this against you. You have forsaken the love you had at first, right? Romantic justice, loving the one's man, all forms of love. The love in all forms you had at first. The Lord is the warrior. The Lord is his name. Nimrod was a mighty warrior and a mighty hunter before the Lord. Right? A hunter is a variation of a warrior. Think martial arts, animal styles, and kung fu. Right? You're hunting each other in animal forms. Okay? So it's a variation of a warrior. It's very similar to being a warrior. It's basically the same thing. Okay? When you have the warrior code, the accompanying moral code. Okay. So consider how far you have fallen. Repent and do the things you did at first. If you do not repent, I will come to you and remove your lampstand from its place. Does it say faith without works can be done? No, it says repent, or we're going to remove the lampstand and you're done. Okay, it's that simple. Okay, you can't be without deeds. You have to be you have to be with deeds. The parable of the 10 minas. Okay, you have to have deeds. 6, but you have this in your favor. You hate the practices of the Nicolaitans, which I also hate. Whoever has ears, let them hear what the Spirit says to the churches. To the one who is victorious, I will give the right to eat from the tree of life, which is in the paradise of God. Now, remember it says, the fruit of the righteous is the tree of life, and wisdom is the fruit of the righteous. So you'll be wise. You'll do the wise thing. It's wise to hate the Nicolaitans. You'll be wise. You'll be in the intense righteous spirit, okay? And you'll go to heaven, and you'll go to the paradise of God. You will rejoin religion. You'll rejoin, okay, your Creator in honor instead of living in eternal disgrace and suffering from that disgrace and whatever comes with it, okay? Which includes me persecuting him in the afterlife. To the church in Smyrna, verse 8. To the angel of the church in Smyrna write, these are the words of him who is the first and the last, who died and came to life again. Right? This is the words of the martial arts spirit. Okay, there was in a king who died. It went to the spiritual realm. The next guy was born, and he was raised in the divine order to raise the son. He was raised amazed-worthy, and the spirit came back into him. Okay, in the spirit of God, in the spirit of the King of Kings. Everyone is not in the spirit of the King of Kings to that degree, right? It is the King of Kings, the conveyor, the gate, okay? The person following me, if someone was to follow me, okay, is just somebody in the extension of the spirit, not the potent source. It's like the sun, right? The sun and the sun, okay, and it conveys the light, right? So the plant that gets the light is not the sun. It's a plant that has accepted the light, okay? All right. These are the words of him who is the first and last, who died and came to life again. Remember, I'm not saying I'm possessed. It's doing martial arts, right? Striking, tries king, blow and row the solar boat, right? It's drawing on the spirit in martial arts strikes and then conveying that in various ways. One way is through the word, right? The power of the spirit in the speech, in the actions. Okay. 9, I know your afflictions and your poverty, yet you are rich. I know about the slander of those who say they are Jews and are not, but are a synagogue of Satan, right? So the flesh doesn't matter. It's their spirit does not accompany, is not in the true righteousness from God that the Bible's superimposing this, that, and the other thing on, okay? It is a synagogue of Satan, the ancient serpent. They cheat people like me and try to control reproduction and so on and so forth. Anyway, do not be afraid of what you are about to suffer. I tell you, the devil will put some of you in prison to test you, and you will suffer persecution for 10 days. Okay? Be faithful even to the point of death, and I will give you life as your victorious crown. So eventually, these people are to be screened out. That's why no one's obeying God through me, because people have been screened out over time. Isaiah 57, the righteous are taken away to be spared from evil, and no one takes it to heart. Well, I'm running out of time, so let's just keep going. 11. Whoever has ears, let them hear. Whoever has ears, let them hear. All eyes, all people with an eye will see Jesus come back on cloud. Those who have sense, okay, will see God in me. Those who have sense will hear God in my actions, will perceive my actions, the word of my mouth, my actions as my mouth, my speech, rather. Okay, and I will give you life as your victor's crown. Okay, so whoever has ears, let them hear what the Spirit says to the churches. The one who is victorious will not be hurt at all by the second death. To the church in Pergamum, okay, rape, G-mum, is what is scrambled there. And that's not a coincidence, okay? It's a long story why that is. I probably won't have time in this video. I'll get to the next video. I'll have time. Okay, the angel of the church in Pergamum write, these are the words of him who has the sharp double-edged sword. I know where you live, where Satan has his throne, yet you remain true to my name. You did not renounce your faith in me, not even in the days of Antipas, my faithful servant, who was put to death in your city where Satan lives. Antipas, Antichrist, anti-sap, right? Dragon, dragon. They're trying to keep you from having the Spirit of God, the warrior spirit, and the divine order, okay? And of course, it goes back to rape, right? One of the way they do it is they rape by deception, rape by force. Serapis is rape scrambled, and that is the son of Satan, the son of Zeus, and so on and so forth. Running out of time. And that's where, Pergamum is said where the temple of Zeus is. At the time, Greeks occupied it, and it's in Turkey, okay, from what I've read. 14. Nevertheless, I have a few things against you. There are some among you who hold to the teaching of Balaam, right? Baal, scrambled, who taught Balak, Baal-K, to entice the Israelites to sin. So they ate food sacrificed to idols and committed sexual immorality. Now food, the bread of God in the Old Testament stands for the presence of God. So they ate the presence, they absorbed the presence of false idols, the profane worldly energy, and not the true spirit of God from people pretending to be important, okay? The king would draw on Baal, Dagon, and Goliath drew on Dagon, and so on and so forth, okay? So their champion, would embody their idol way about them. Okay, 15. Likewise, you also have those who hold to the teachings of the Nicolaitans. Repent, therefore. Otherwise, I will soon come to you and fight against them with the sword of my mouth. Actions as well. Whoever has ears, let them hear what the Spirit says to the churches. To the one who is victorious, I will give some of the hidden manna. I will also give that person a white stone with a new name written on it, known only to the one who received it. So the stone the builder rejected, the wise and foolish builders, right? It becomes the chief cornerstone. Okay, the stone can be for an individual or a nation or a group, what have you. Okay, so the white stone represents part of the cornerstone. It represents symbolically the foundation stone. Okay, it can also represent the capstone for the completion. Okay, it represents the building. Okay, and the hidden manna is like it's like the bread of God's presence. It's the bread of the Spirit of God. It's the manna from heaven of the Spirit of God. Okay, so we'll leave it there in this video. See part 2 for the next 3 churches, and we'll get to other key scriptures that overkill, right? That overkill, that people were supposed to come out of Babylon and not remain her and not share in the maddening wine of her adulteries and go crazy as they have no point of reference. They have no gate to connect to God. God brings sound discipline, sound judgment, sound mind, the martial art principles of sanity. Without that, people are like lemmings, like chickens with their head cut off, scrambling to use psychology and technology and chemistry, and they don't know what they're doing. And that's why these things are referred to as magic arts, because they were used for people that did psychology to go in trance-like states and government meaning mind to kind of confuse themselves and pretend that they're doing the right thing, and they're sick people.